Hi, my name is Terry, and in this video, I want to talk about a simple question. When does saying yes actually count as meaningful consent? You don't need any previous knowledge of data ethics for this video. By the end, my goal is for you to understand the difference between formal consent and meaningful consent, and use four simple questions to look at other technology or data ethics problems. The main idea is simple. A signature or an I agree button can show that someone agreed, but that alone doesn't prove they had a meaningful choice. So the main question is, could this person realistically say no? First, let's separate two ideas. Formal consent is easy to see. You sign a document, check a box, or click agree. There is some record showing that you accepted the terms. Meaningful consent asks more. Did you understand what you were agreeing to? Could you realistically refuse? And did you still have some control? This connects to autonomy. Here, autonomy means having meaningful control over decisions that affects your body, data, or life. Not every difficult choice is unfair. But when one side has so much power that the other person has almost no real option, we should question how meaningful that consent really is. Let's look at an example from Blank Mirror Season 7, Episode 1, Common People. First, just the facts. Amanda has a serious medical emergency, and Libermind uses its technology to keep her alive. So the technology clearly provides something valuable. But after Amanda and her husband Mike become dependent on the service, LaborMind starts changing the conditions. Prices increases, features are divided into subscription levels, and the system begins affecting Amanda's speech, sleep, movement, memory, and reproductive choices. Most importantly, Amanda can't realistically cancel the service because her life depends on it. So if Amanda keeps agreeing to these new terms, has she really consented? Formally, LibriMind can say yes. Amanda accepts the new term, and the company has a record of her agreement. But meaningful consent is different because Amanda cannot realistically leave. Refusing the service could mean dying, and LibriMind changes the term after she has already become dependent on it. That gives the company a huge amount of power. The problem is not simply that LibriMind charges money. Developing and maintaining life-saving technology costs money. The ethical problem begins when Amanda dependence become leverage that the company can use against her. This gives us a broader lesson about power. Dependence can create unequal bargaining power, meaning one side has much more ability to set the terms or walk away. If I don't like a streaming service, I can cancel it. Amanda doesn't have that kind of option. There are also different stakeholders. Amanda cares about survivor and autonomy. Mike faces financial and emotional pressure. LibriMinds wants payment and continued innovation. Regulators care about access, safety, and rights. More power does not automatically make an agreement immortal, but the concern becomes much stronger when one side controls something essential and the other cannot realistically walk away. Now, let's move to a little case involving Anthropic and AI training. Authors sued Anthropic over its use of copyright books to develop Claude. A federal judge ruled that using lawfully acquired book for AI training could qualify as fair use, but Anthropic had also downloaded and stored more than 7 million pirate books, and the court did not treat that storage as fair use. Anthropic later reached a settlement with authors. The key point is that training and acquisition are separate questions. Even if AI training can be legally allowed, that does not automatically justify how the training material was obtained. So the legal question is whether the use was allowed under copyright law. The moral question is different. Did Anthropic respect creators' right and control when it acquired those books in the first place? I want to be clear that these two cases are not morally identical. Amanda actually says yes to Lieberman, but her ability to say no becomes extremely limited. The Anthropic case raises an earlier question. With pirate copies, creator may never have had a meaningful opportunity to give permission in the first place. So these are different consent problems. What connects them is power and control. LibriMind controls life-sustaining technology. Anthropic has far greater resources and control over how large amounts of creative work can be collected and used. In both cases, we can ask who set the terms and how much legal control does the other side have. So, how can we use this idea in other cases? I think there are four simple questions. First, understanding. Does the person know what they are agreeing to and how their data, work, or body will be used? Second, refusal. Can they realistically say no, and what happens if they do? Third, control. Can they change their mind, leave, revoke permission, or challenge new terms? And fourth, power. Who sets the rules? Who gets the benefits? And who carries the risks? This question connects back to autonomy. Instead of stopping at did they agree, we should ask whether the choice itself was meaningful. So, what should we do about these problems? The answer does not have to be banning the technology. For a high-stakes system like LibriMind, important changes could require independent review. Patients could have stronger rights over their data and bodily functions, and regulators could step in when an essential service gives one company too much control. For AI and creative work, companies could clearly explain their training data practices, keep better records of where material comes from, and give creator ways to challenge unauthorized uses. Collective licensing could also help when individual creators have very little bargaining power. These are not perfect solutions. The goal is to reduce the power imbalance and make consent more meaningful. So for the lab up, formal consent record a yes. Meaningful consent asks whether that yes came from a real choice. When evaluating a technology or data system, remember these three things. First, define what the person is agreeing to. Second, look at the power relationship. And third, ask what actually happened if they say no. Common People gives us an extreme fictional example, while the Anthropic case shows similar question about permission and control in the real world. So, the next time you see I agree, don't only ask whether someone said yes. Ask who controlled the condition under which they said it. Thank you for watching.